Breaking news, guys. It has been an amazing last 24 hours. President Trump reportedly pulling the TPS status from hundreds of thousands of Venezuelans. Trump also announced his border deal with Mexico, tariff pause. And it looks like Panama is actually bending the knee to President Trump after ending the initiative with China. Now, of course, we have to talk about the black box that they found on the medical Learjet that crashed in Northeast Philadelphia. And Trump, of course, defends the tariffs and he goes off on Canada. By the way, guys, appreciate you hitting the like button. Thank you so much for sharing this video. Thank you for subscribing. Let's learn more about this black box situation here. Take a listen.
Tonight is the continuing investigation into that deadly medical jet crash in Northeast Philadelphia on Friday night. Here's some of the latest developments. Sources tell Action News the jet's black box recorder was located about 8 feet.
Look at the size of this hole, guys. Like the sound that this probably has made. I mean, it had to be just absolutely just unbelievable.
Action News, the jet's black box recorder was located about 8 feet inside of a crater left by the crash that will expectedly shed some light on what happened in the moments before the tragedy. Tonight, the death toll stands at 7, but the number of those injured has increased from 19 to 22, with 5 still in the hospital. Authorities late this afternoon reopened the inner and outer drives of Roosevelt Boulevard, and schools in the area of the crash will be open. Action News reporters Brianna Smith and Katie Catro are following the aftermath of the crash. We begin with Brianna and the latest in the investigation. Brianna.
Now, I'm just curious, like, what do they make these black boxes out of? Like, how in the world does a black box survive basically almost like a missile trajectory? A Learjet 55 traveling at, I don't know, probably 600 miles an hour into the ground. It explodes, and yet the black box survives. Like, what is this made out of? Like kryptonite or something?
Walter, city leaders say it's been 48 hours and hundreds of dedicated workers remain at the scene, helping residents, business owners, and collecting evidence. And during their search, they were able to find that black box, which will be a key part of their investigation. The NTSB released this video today as they scoured the crater created by the medical jet on impact in Northeast Philadelphia Friday evening. In that hole, investigators found the black box in decent condition about 8 feet below ground. We also learned more about the 4 crew members who tragically lost their lives. Jet Rescue Air Ambulance identified them as Captain Alon Montoya, co-pilot Josue Juarez, paramedic Rodrigo Padilla, and Dr. Raul Mesa. The patient, 11-year-old Valentina Guzman Murillo, and her mother, Lizeth Murillo Osuna, also passed away.
Our city continues to mourn their loss, and they are in our thoughts and prayers.
That was Mayor Cheryl Parker of Philadelphia. Absolutely crazy, guys. So apparently Panama is bending the knee after Trump's initiative with China. And of course, Trump had words as he landed last night about the tariffs that a lot of people have questions about or are downright debating or arguing against, saying that Trump's tariffs may actually do more harm than good. Trump argues that they will do more good than harm.
Thank you very much. So we had a very busy weekend. We got the 6 hostages out of Venezuela, as you probably know, and they're very safe right now. They're home with their families, and we appreciate the hard work of a lot of people, including Rick Grinnell. We appreciate the cooperation from Venezuela, and we have some very happy people right now. Nobody thought that was going to happen. So they are home, they're safe, and they're with their families. That was a big one. Secretary of State Rubio is in Panama right now, and we're talking about the Panama Canal. What they've done is terrible. They violated the agreement. They're not allowed to violate the agreement. China's running the Panama Canal, that was not given to China, that was given to Panama foolishly, but they violated the agreement, and we're going to take it back, or something very powerful is going to happen. And as far as other things are concerned, as you know, we had a very busy weekend. We're dealing with Israel. We're dealing with Ukraine and Russia. We have meetings and talks scheduled with various parties, including Ukraine and Russia. And I think those discussions are actually going pretty well. The discussions on the Middle East with Israel and various and sundry other countries are progressing. Bibi Netanyahu's coming on Tuesday, and I think we have some very big meetings scheduled.
Mr. President, do you feel that Elon Musk is delivering on his promises to you? Do you feel he's doing a good job right now with
I
those?
do. I think Elon's doing a good job. He's a big cost cutter. Sometimes we won't agree with it and will not go where he wants to go, but I think he's doing a great job. He's a smart guy, very smart, and he's very much into cutting the budget of our federal government.
Mr. President.
You saw some retaliatory tariffs from Canada.
Say it?
You saw some retaliatory tariffs from Canada. There was a rider in the order. Are you planning to increase the tariffs against Canada?
Well, it could happen. If they do anything, we will. Canada's been very abusive of the United States for many years.
Now, real quick, guys, did you know that Canada was abusive to the United States? Because this is news to me. I just always assumed that the United States and Canada had great relationships.
They don't allow our banks. Did you know that? Canada does not allow banks to go in. If you think about it, that's pretty amazing. If we have a U.S. bank, they don't allow them to go in. Canada's been very tough on oil, on energy. They don't allow our farm products in, essentially. They don't allow a lot of things in, and we allow everything to come in. It's been a one-way street. We subsidize Canada by the tune of about $200 billion a year. And for what? What do we get out of it? We don't get anything out of it. I love the people of Canada. I disagree with the leadership of Canada. And something's going to happen there. But if they want to play the game, I don't mind. We can play the game all they want. Mexico.
Before Trump goes into Mexico, I want to talk about Trump's stance on Canada. I want to be real clear. This is not about the people of Canada. Trump just admitted he loves the people of Canada. So it's not like he's trying to attack the people of Canada. So, I don't want media to try to manipulate Trump's words as they have a tendency to do. Trump is not after the people of Canada. Trump is clearly having a disagreement with Canadian leadership, primarily Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. And this is purely from a business/economic transactional perspective and nothing more than that. And it's really obviously unfair. I didn't even know about this until recently. It really is unfair that the Canadian policies and apparently the American policies that we've agreed to under previous administrations have allowed America to be taken advantage of to this extent. And we're literally getting bent over and getting drugged over the coals, and we're getting no benefit. And then on top of that, we're subsidizing that. Now, basically, subsidizing just means that we're paying for a lot of things that we shouldn't on behalf of another party. And in this case, it happens to be Canada. So the real question is, will Canada succumb to the United States? Because if you listen to what Trump just explained, this is highly one way. In other words, we are bending over backwards to support Canada. We allow everything that Canada wants to export into the United States. And Canada keeps a very tight filter on what they will allow the United States to import into their country. So with this being the case, number one, Justin Trudeau's retaliatory tariff that he decided to threaten the United States with just recently really doesn't hold a whole heck of a lot of water. We don't bring that much into Canada anyway. So it definitely looks like the tariffs that Trump has put on Canada will be way more painful for Canada than Canada's tariffs being painful on the United States. And so now it makes you wonder, is this a setup for Canada to end up needing to bend their knee to the Trump administration and possibly become the 51st state of the United States? Because according to Trump, we can keep playing this game as long as Justin Trudeau wants to. We're not gonna feel a whole lot of pain here. What are your thoughts, guys?
But if they want to play the game, I don't mind. We can play the game all they want. Mexico, we've had very good talks with them, and this is retaliatory. This is retaliatory to a certain extent. Millions of people flowed into our country through Mexico and Canada, and we're not going to allow that. And by the way, we have among the lowest numbers we've ever had of people crossing our border, the lowest numbers since my administration.
Mr. President, you said, so on Truth Social, you said that you were going to cut aid from South Africa. Will you plan to cut aid across other African nations, and why South Africa?
No, it's only South Africa. Terrible things are happening in South Africa. The leadership is doing some terrible things, horrible things. So that's under investigation right now. We'll make a determination. And until such time as we find out what South Africa is doing, they're taking away land, they're confiscating land, and actually they're doing things that are perhaps far worse than that.
And on the Fed Chair Jerome Powell, he held rates. What's your reaction to him not changing the rates?
Now, speaking of speaking of Africa, we have received recent alerts that Trump and Elon Musk have plans on removing or reducing or possibly even eliminating USAID, which basically ends up being a roughly somewhere between $40 and $80 billion annual expense to the United States budget. Certain countries, particularly certain continents and many countries within Africa, as well as Ukraine and many other third world countries, get a lot of funding as a result of the USAID program. Particularly, USAID funds or provides like prosthetic limbs and feeds a lot of the starving countries. There are a lot of different humanitarian services that are provided by USAID that could very well be like eliminated because, number one, it's another very one-sided program. United States is not getting a good return, according to Trump. The United States is not getting a good return on the program. Trump and Elon Musk are really focusing on eliminating what they call unnecessary international spending. And that would definitely be a huge line item in the budgetary list there on the accounting books. That program, USAID, also has a history of providing medical assistance treatment for example, certain illnesses such as polio, also eliminating or mitigating or reducing the outbreaks of Ebola in countries within the continent of Africa. So this is another big cost-cutting measure and effort that the Trump and Elon Musk administration are looking to reduce the overhead expense of.
What did you say?
Fed Chair Jerome Powell, the Fed meeting was this week. He held the rates. He didn't cut them.
No, I'm not surprised. I think holding the rates at this point was the right thing to do.
Mr. President, will you?
Oh, wow. Very interesting. So when Trump was campaigning, Trump said he wanted to cut the rates. Jerome Powell just recently in the last week just decided to hold the interest rates and not cut them, not raise them. Fed Chair Jerome Powell decided to hold interest rates where they are. But President Trump apparently supports Jerome Powell's stance. I don't know if this is a political response from Trump or does he legitimately really actually support the Federal Reserve's policy decision to hold interest rates where they're at, but we'll see.
Country will be next on tariffs. Would you consider taxing the UK, for example?
Well, we're going to see what happens. It'll happen, but we'll see how things work out. It might happen with them, but it will definitely happen with the European Union. I can tell you that. Because they've really taken advantage of us. And, we have over a $300 billion deficit. They don't take our cars. They don't take our farm products. They take almost nothing. And we take everything from them. Millions of cars, tremendous amounts of food and farm products. So the UK is way out of line, and we'll see the UK, but European Union is really out of line. UK is out of line, but I'm sure that one, I think that one can be worked out. But the European Union it's an atrocity, what they've done.
Are you guys seeing a pattern here? I'm seeing a pattern. I'm seeing a lot of countries just getting over on the United States with these trade policies. It's like we import the heck out of products from all these different countries. And these countries are saying like, nah, we don't want any of your USA products. And Trump is not standing for it. And so wherever there's these trade imbalances, Trump is standing in, he's stepping in and saying, hey, we're going to imply some tariffs, or you're going to modify your trade policies and let our products come into your countries. This is big, guys. This is going to be real interesting, because it looks like the United States is taking on the world at this point.
Well, Prime Minister Starmer has been very nice. We've had a couple of meetings. We've had numerous phone calls. We're getting along very well. And we'll see whether or not we can balance out our budget. With the European Union, it's $350 billion deficit. So obviously something's going to take place there.
For the European Union, what's the timeline? And are you thinking
Where?
along
Where?
the line 25%?
With who?
10%?
With who?
The EU, how much?
I wouldn't say there's a timeline, but it's going to be pretty soon.
When have you seen the Biden administration or Kamala Harris be able to take these rapid fire back-to-back questions during their entire administration? Trump's been standing out here for a good, 5 minutes or so. I don't even know how many answers he's provided, how many questions he's taken, but the man just got off the plane. And he just got off Air Force One. He's about to hop on the, I don't know the name of the helicopter. But, I mean, he's handling these questions back to back. The man seems like he never sleeps. And they try to tell us that, he was sleepy Trump, that he was slow, that he's not going to be able to keep up. The man's 78, 79 years old. And I don't see him slowing down right now. What do you guys think? Maybe I'm off.
No, I'm not concerned. We may have short-term a little pain, and people understand that. But long-term, the United States has been ripped off by virtually every country in the world. We have deficits with almost every country. Not every country, but almost. And we're going to change it. It's been unfair. That's why we owe $36 trillion.
Wow.
We have deficits with everybody. We help everybody. We've been helping everybody for years. And to be honest, I don't think they appreciate it. So we're going to change that. We're going to change it fast. We're going to make America great again. We have to focus on our country. We have tremendous potential if properly used, and we have to focus on our country. Tremendous deficits with China, tremendous deficits with the European Union, tremendous deficits with Mexico and Canada. And why? What's the purpose of that? Why would we have deficits? And you look at, if you look at pharmaceuticals and drugs, if you look at various products, it's much cheaper in other countries. We're not going to allow that much longer. We're not going to take it.
Wow. So comment down below if you stand by Trump's policies here. Let me know if you guys support Trump's policies, you think we're going in the right direction, or if you think we're going in the wrong direction. I think it's really interesting, this direction that Trump's taking with us. He says that there could likely be some short-term pain, but there will be some long-term gain. And generally that's the case. Kind of like when you go to the gym, short-term pain is like if you hadn't worked out in 5 years and then you suddenly go to the gym, you're probably not going to feel better first. You're going to feel worse first, and you're going to feel better over time. You'll be sore. You probably even get weaker at first, but then you get stronger over time. You start losing weight, you start burning fat, whatever, and you start feeling the best that you've ever felt. A wise man once told me that whenever you whenever there's intention, disruption immediately follows. And I think that that's what we're going to see here in the coming days and weeks and months. And whatever Trump decides to do, we'll have to stick to the course, because otherwise, if it's going to work, if you don't let it work long enough, we'll never see the benefits. The other thing that he brought up is that Trump said, we have a very imbalanced trade policy. We have imbalanced trade policies with all of these different countries, many of these different countries. And on top of this trade imbalance, these countries don't even seem to appreciate it. How many times now think about it, right? And he's saying that this is why we're in this deficit. I think this is part of why we're in this deficit. We're in this deficit also because Congress and the which Congress is essentially the controllers of the United States purse strings. They don't seem to, care about how much money we spend. We'll just print more, right? So that's number one. Congress has a tendency to want to spend all this money internationally, overseas. This is adding to the United States trade deficit. And from a personal perspective, I'm pretty sure, and you guys let me know if you've experienced this in your life. Have you ever had someone in your life that you've helped out, and whether it's, financially or otherwise, have you ever had someone in your life that you've helped out and then you realize that they don't even appreciate the help that you've been providing over, the days, weeks, months, years that you've been providing the help? It's like, look, we're bending over backwards for y'all, and you don't even appreciate our help. Well, guess what? We're going to go ahead and take our help back because it's hurting us anyway. Y'all don't care. You don't appreciate it. You're not reciprocating. So what are we doing here? Right? There's no benefit for this relationship to continue to exist. Anyway,